Some shows write themselves or produce themselves, and we're here today.
Yeah,
Uh, if you know us, you know where we're starting. No pre-production needed. But Parlay Pete, man, how you doing?
I'm doing great on this W Wednesday. How are you doing?
Ah, man, not too bad. Just a happy Falcons fan. Throwing on a little Falcons gear, a little Prime gear to
Yeah.
give some credit to some winners who a lot of people doubted.
And look, I'll be one to tell you that I don't think I doubted them. I think it was more of a I was so turned off already after
Mhm.
having so much hope. But I knew that, as we spoke about last week, I knew that this was the game where I said, "Well, we got to see something because if we don't, the season is over." And boy, did we see something!
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Are all here to do what do. You get no play around here, Arthur. Sorry.
Nah,
Gotta
fuck
find a
you.
new coach.
Yeah, fuck Arthur Smith.
I mean, although
Uh,
we did run the ball really well.
Both
Hold
of
on.
them did.
Well, let's get into it. Falcons beat the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Kirk
Yes.
Cousins, fourth quarter comeback, game-winning drive. Nick Sirianni pisses down his leg with some questionable coaching decisions. Jalen Hurts ends the game in Jalen Hurts fashion with a forced interception. And Falcons come out of Philadelphia successful victors. And A.J. Brown didn't play. I know that's going to matter to people like Josh Holsey. But you know what? You just got to take this L, man.
Yeah, he's got to hold it. He's got to hold it. He's got to eat it. He's got to embrace it. He's got to look forward to New Orleans this week. I mean, that's what he has to do, And so, good luck with that. I mean, I'm rooting for them, of course.
Yeah, obviously.
Because we already have our tiebreaker with them now. So,
yeah,
what they do is kind of irrelevant. It only matters when seeding gets on the line if they're going to be one of those teams that are a part of the seeding.
True.
But I care about them beating New Orleans because I want New Orleans to have that L too. Plus, I just don't like the Saints, so it doesn't matter. Honestly, they could play Carolina or Tampa. I'm rooting for Carolina or Tampa. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter who they play. But yeah, he's got to look forward to that. But you know what we have to look forward to?
Patrick Mahomes.
Another opportunity to do it again on the big stage. And what better way to start the season than coming into these 3 games before the season started? We said 2-1 will be great.
Yeah.
We're staring that opportunity right in the face. And we get to catch Kansas City not what we thought they were in week 1. There's no Isaiah Pacheco. There's no Hollywood Brown. Not that he was going to make that big of a difference. And Travis Kelce's got 35 yards receiving through 2 games.
I think he's still on tour with Taylor Swift.
He might be. It might be his era of it might be the retirement era. And
that 100 mil makes it easier.
Oh, I'm sure it does. And I think that after hearing from his brother so much on Monday night,
Jesus,
I was starting to get a little upset with Troy and Joe because I'm just like, hey guys, if I wanted to watch the fucking Manning cast, I would have turned to ESPN2. I don't want to watch the fucking Manning cast where there's somebody else talking a lot and we're not really paying attention to the game. There's a lot going on here. I get it. Eagles great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. Maybe
he's an ESPN guy. They're building up his character.
We don't need that profile on him. We know who he is already, though. As long as you're not even casuals know who he is because of his brother. Like casuals even know who the Kelce's are, right? They're arguably the most famous pair of brothers to play in the NFL.
Yeah,
since the Barbers, really.
He's a famous lineman.
Yeah.
Whoa. Were the Barbers more famous than the McCourtys?
I think so. They were better. Rondé's a Hall of Fame corner, and Tiki arguably really was a Hall of Fame running back if he had played longer.
Yeah.
They were better. I mean, the McCourtys are good, but like the Barbers were, and they're twins too, of course. Like Travis and obviously
Jason aren't twins.
But
let's get back to our game. Fuck them twins.
Yeah.
Let's start with the offense. We saw 2 separate offenses look good. So that gives me a little bit of hope in what Coach Rod and Zach Robinson are doing with Kirk Cousins.
The play calling was so much better. And they started the game off with him under center.
Yes. I think Pittsburgh had him shook.
I don't know what that was. Maybe that was for both of them. It was Kirk knocking off cobwebs, and then it was Zach getting acclimated to actually being a play caller in the NFL. That's all. And of course, let's
And
give
Kirk's play
Pittsburgh let's give Pittsburgh credit. Like I said, that is clearly a top 5 defense in the NFL. So it's not
Yes.
like, I don't know, Detroit or somebody came in and their defense did that to us, right?
Mhm.
Like it was, arguably maybe the best defensive player in the NFL on the line, wrecking the game. You got one of the best linebackers in the NFL that's new to that team, that's a former Raven. And then you got for sure one of the best safeties in the NFL. So all 3 layers had all pro type players.
Yes. So here's the thing that I thought was good and bad. Bijan was great. The second half passing game was really good, and on on those 2 touchdown drives we had in the second half, it was great. Like Kirk was in rhythm, he was doing his thing. But now I need to see these 2 offenses come together. The consistency in the running game tied to the consistency in the passing game. And seeing Kirk under center made me extremely happy because now we take some of the unpredictability out of it. I think Bijan's going to run the ball better from the single back as opposed to the gun.
Yeah.
And our running game and pass game become less predictable because we're keeping the same people on the field. And we're given similar looks, but we're given different actions out of those looks.
Did you notice too that we barely ran the pistol period?
Yeah.
There was shotgun, but there was barely any pistol. Like one of the things I really liked too that didn't get enough praise was our non-lineman blocking on run plays. I thought Drake London and Darnell Mooney, and I'll give Kyle Pitts credit because I fucking killed him last week. He held his own, and look, maybe, and I'm not trying to put an indictment on Philly's defense. We know that their secondary is where their weakness is.
Terrible.
They have a good line, but what we did, they have a good D line. What we did was we made them big Georgia boys run. They had to run. You know what I mean? And the way that they set it up, it was keeping them on the field and making them have to stop that run. Like they could never get down and be pass rushers because to me, Jordan Davis is more of that run stopper, but Jalen Carr is, of course, much more of a pass rush type interior lineman. Brandon Graham was held in check. Like I said, they addressed a lot of the questions that we had after week 1. And my favorite part of the game, obviously outside of Kirk driving down the field, was Zach Robinson's play calling. I really loved it. And to put the cherry on top, your best defensive player, the person to me that has changed the Falcons' identity since he came last year, ending the game with a pick.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It's Chef's kiss.
I mean, it was exactly what Falcons fans wanted to see. A comeback in a game that we were good at. Like, we were in the game, and then it got a little spooky out there. But then to see us go down the field effortlessly to score a touchdown, and then for Jesse Bates, the guy who brought interceptions back to Atlanta, not the second highest paid cornerback in the league. It was just,
he's like 4th now, but yeah, go ahead.
4 too high. Coach Belichick said it. He was like, I don't know how you pay a guy that much who doesn't turn the ball over. He said words to that effect.
Well, and look, Bill has every right, and Bill's spot on. I'll praise their performance. Devontae Smith didn't exactly have a great game.
Had a big drop in the end zone.
He did. And then, he had 60. He didn't even have 80, 90 yards or anything. No, so it's not – he had that touchdown, but he had that drop. And another thing that I think goes unnoticed about this game, this was the type of game that typically the Falcons lose in a sense of not just because of our quarterback play, but the Eagles actually pulled a Falcons. That's typically how we close games. We have the opportunity to end the game. We call a stupid pass play. Somebody drops the ball. We settle for 3, leaving too much time on the clock for the other quarterback to drive the length of the field and win the game. And then we get the ball back, have a chance to still tie it or win it rather, and then we throw an interception. Like they literally the Eagles pulled a Falcon. We've been on the wrong end of that type of game too many times.
Absolutely.
Like it was a regular occurrence. It felt like even in the Matt Ryan era, we seem to just lose games the same way that they lost that game. So for us to be on the other side of it, not only is super fortunate, but it was refreshing.
It
It was
was.
refreshing. It was refreshing, and I think that like I'm still like my adrenaline honestly is still pumping from that game. I was at a bar obviously because we spoke for a little bit,
Yep.
and it was great to be amongst Falcons fans in Atlanta watching a nationally televised game and everybody still having that belief that we could win that game. And I told people as we got the ball back, as soon as Saquon dropped, I said, "This is what we paid Kirk Cousins for. Let's see if he can do it." And
Yeah.
what did he fucking do? He fucking did it. And this, it just, it vindicates it makes everything about this off season feel so right, and everything that we said, the reason why we did this, and what we thought the team could be, it completely, it just, I don't know. He cashed a check that we wrote.
Yeah, he did it on the road
in a tough environment, which is
tough
in a place that we
environments.
typically don't win.
Primetime game, standalone game. Like, what more can you ask for? It's like he beat some of the Falcons' ghosts and his own ghost all in one, you know. It was amazing. Shout out to the Falcons for doing that. Now, can we talk about the Eagles and Big Dick Nick?
Yeah, let's talk about him.
Big Dick Nick's probably gonna, you know, get chopped off. You know, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah, he's a pig, baby. He's a fat hog, too.
Yeah, he's a hog because let's think about it. Drive one, he goes for it on fourth down with a stupid quarterback draw. Hey, you tell Kellen to pipe down. You tell your analytics crew pipe down. Punt the ball, play field position. Then they drive down again. Let's play field position. Go for it on fourth, come up short. That's 3 points you left off the board. There's your game.
Early in the game, too.
And
nobody had scored yet. So it was like, well, why not to get the first points on the board? Yeah, score.
It's so sad that we're allowing spreadsheets to run games. And, well, the analytics say this. Well, cool. Analytics work in a vacuum. Let's add some context here. You put 3 points on the board. Guess what? If they have another 3 and out or a short drive, because it wasn't a 3 and out, but a drive that stalls out, maybe you get 7. Now you're up 10-0. The game changes. They feel like they can't run the ball the same way because they're already down 2 scores. And if you get the ball back and go up 17-0, I mean, that's pretty much curtains in the NFL for the most part. 17-0 in the first quarter or early second quarter. Teams have to alter their game. Teams choose to alter their game plans a little earlier, which I don't think they should because there's enough possessions in the game that if you're down 17-0, you can still run the ball as long as you score. But anyways, I digress.
I thought that Nick Sirianni definitely set himself up to be in a position where the Philadelphia media had no choice but to, hang him out there like he was Christ. And I mean, look.
Crucify him!
Hey, man, you know what they say, right? The nail hanging out the furthest gets hit the hardest. And all he did was set himself up to get hit hard after that. Now, look, a lot of people, of course, you can blame Saquon for not catching it because for what it's worth, even though the play call should have worked, it didn't. And that's the idea of why you don't run the play. Because, well, what's the worst that could happen?
The clock stops.
Exactly. Not only do we not catch it, not only do we not get the first down, we didn't catch it. We dropped the ball. It might as well have been. It was an incomplete pass. He might as well have just thrown it away almost. That's exactly what happened. And so, there was no worse of a situation. I mean, it would have been better if Jalen Hurts got sacked on that play.
Yeah, because there's time running off. Hey,
yeah.
You know what I think coaches should start doing? In like crunch time. What would Belichick do?
You think that that's what they should start asking themselves?
Do you think Belichick throws that pass?
No, I think especially with the running. This was something that got argued on 92.9. If you're Nick Sirianni, you've been getting about 2 yards per push.
Yeah.
Why not run that play? And then if it's 4th and 1, you let the clock drain, you call time. Then you make a decision on whether or not you want to go for it to end the game or just kick a field goal. But you set it up, too, to where you can also go up to the line if you are going to run it, and maybe we jump. You don't know. Nobody knows. Or maybe you just get the fucking first down on the tush push originally. It was only 3 yards that they needed. It was just terribly managed. I mean, it was shades of a Dan Quinn type game, honestly. Like, it was just terrible clock management and terrible situational awareness.
Nick Sirianni's a bad coach. Fortunately for Philadelphia, Howie Roseman's a good GM.
Yeah.
And as long as Howie keeps picking them right and they keep somebody competent, they're going to be okay because Howie runs the football operation. But if Howie turns into Jerry, it gets really scary over there. If the league gets smart and stops trading with Philadelphia, and if they have a player that they're thinking about re-signing and Philly's interested in signing that player, you just give them an extra $2 million because Philly, outside of Jalen Reagor, they don't really miss. So if Philly wants a guy, you should probably keep him, right?
Well,
hear me out. Their coaches are a pawn. I wouldn't go coach in Philly. Because you're not going to get credit for anything you do. Because look at Doug Peterson got fired. I think he got fired prematurely, whatever. But he got fired. But now
2 years after the Super Bowl.
And I see what he's doing in Jacksonville, and he might get fired again. Chip Kelly hadn't thought about sniffing an NFL head coaching job again.
Hell, he downgraded to a degree by being a football coach, which would have been the Big Ten, a Big Ten head coach in LA, to moving to Columbus to be the offensive coordinator.
Well, you see what's going on with that program. There's a reason why he got out of there.
And look, maybe he knew, right? Yeah. But still, nonetheless, it's still positionally and pay-wise, he still took a.
Yeah, but But Philly, they control their coaches, and now don't get me wrong, I don't think Nick Sirianni is a good coach, but I also think a lot of his decision making, or maybe he's in the job because he aligned with what Howie wants in his fucking cool spreadsheets, and that works great for picking players, but that doesn't always work for picking plays.
And what I was gonna say, I don't want to put. You said that Philly doesn't miss. Well. Look, they're starting to get some rumblings that maybe they missed on that contract to that quarterback that they have. And I say that because what a bad throw at the end of the game. They were so close to still getting in field goal range. And
20 yards from his career high.
He threw a very bad pass. And a good play by Jesse, obviously, because he had to go make the play, but he laid it out there for him to make the play. And I don't know. There were things that Jalen did in this game that weren't good. And, I mean, give our defense credit. But I saw him do kind of those same things early in the Packers game last week. And at first, you think, well, there's no preseason. He didn't play in preseason. Maybe he's knocking rust off. But now it's carrying over into week 2 in a game that, for what it's worth to a degree, they really needed to win that game too.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody needs to win every game, right? But, there was importance in that game too. Not only could they have gotten an early lead on the Cowboys, but now you got to go to New Orleans, who looks like the hottest team in the NFL, and you're an underdog heading into that game because of how the books are finally paying respect to New Orleans because of what they've done over the last 2 weeks. So now you go in as an underdog to a place that's not easy to win one way or another, no matter how good the Saints are. Going to New Orleans isn't easy either. And so now you're setting yourself up early in the season where I looked at their schedule earlier. They've got a pretty tough schedule just ahead of them, too. Let me see. Let me pull it back up. So they're at New Orleans, then they're at Tampa, then they're at home against the Browns, then they get the Giants on the road. They go to New York, then they go to Cincinnati. So those are your next 5 games. You got 4 road games out of your next 5. And the one home game you have is against a playoff team from last year who has a pretty good defense.
Is Bill Belichick looking at properties in Philadelphia?
Well, you saw he was at the game. Unlike last week when he was on the Manning cast, he was, in a studio setting. He was there. And so I thought that was a little odd. Why is Bill at the game? Like, what's he doing there?
Trying to ingratiate himself with a fan base who, gets the shit on him because they beat him in a Super Bowl. I mean, he beat them in one too, but that's different,
Yeah.
What do you take about Sirianni not addressing the team after the game and just letting the players do it because they're a player-ran team?
Well, the way that he reasoned it was that
Bullshit.
Jalen said everything that he would have said, and I think that he still should have addressed the team one way or another because you're the coach. That's just like Herb not taking the flight back. It's like, well, why not? Even if you got to fly back up to Ohio, why wouldn't you go back with the team? Same thing with here. Well, even if Jalen said what he said, why don't you echo his same sentiments then? And you need to beat this into you guys because you guys, some people think that the Eagles lost that game. I think the Falcons won it.
Okay.
But at the same time, you need to fix something. There's something that needs to be fixed because that is a game that you shouldn't have lost in reality. Because given the circumstances, they shouldn't have lost that game. And what I took away from it too was, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though they shouldn't have lost that game, I think the Falcons are a better team than them.
That's what Nick Wright said yesterday, and we don't. Well, they have continuity with players, but they also have a new OC. Who was one of the hottest commodities in the NFL 2 years ago.
We have a new
Nick
OC
Wright.
too.
Huh? Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like they have, like I was saying, they have continuity, but you've played sports, and oftentimes when coach gets up there and talks after a loss, we don't care what he has to say. Like, right? Yeah, we played bad, or they got lucky.
We need to do better.
Yeah. Got you, coach. Yeah, I kind of already know what I did wrong out there, and it is what it is. I'm gonna watch the film. But if I had a coach just not address the team after a loss, a tough loss like that, damn near a walk-off loss
on national TV.
On national TV, a loss where it's arguable that our coach's decision making put us in a position not to win. As a coach, I got to stand up there and take that. I got to say, hey, man, we should have punted that ball away on that first drive just to set the tone, play the field position game. Hey, I got to take the points when they're there. I've got to be a better coach for you all, and you all have to be better players for me. We have to be better together. It falls on me first because I'm the captain of this ship. I'm not Captain Kirk, but I'm the captain of this ship. I'm supposed to steer us. But hey, I need a good, solid crew down there. I can't lead this ship if everybody's not pulling in the right direction, doing their jobs. Say some bullshit like that, just some coach speak and keep it moving. But to not address the team, it got out for a reason. We know Jalen doesn't respect you because that got out for a reason. Hey, Nick, I hope you rented and didn't buy. Because it's not a great market right now.
I wish that we got Sean on, to be honest with you, to hit some of his feedback. As an Eagles fan and as a,
Why didn't I text him this week to do this?
I don't know, but it just came to me too because he's just really good. But then B, he's directly the person that, you want to hear from in these situations.
And he produces the Falcons show.
Well, but he can give you a pulse of everything going on there from the fan base to the organization to the players. He has great insight there. And I just think that the thing with the Eagles is this. We're going to see if that game defined their season or not already. Because the way that they answer against New Orleans will tell us everything that we need to know. If they go up there and they get smoked and New Orleans does what they've done the last 2 weeks, everybody's going to obviously think New Orleans is actually for real.
Yeah, because we think Philly's really good.
We think Philly is a good team because that is a team that's been to the playoffs 3 years in a row. They've been to a Super Bowl. They were 10-1 last year. There's a lot of different things about that team to like. They have good players. And granted, look, they were down A.J. Brown in the game. I don't want to give you the Josh Hulsey excuse, but that is a big piece. It showed how important he is actually too to that team.
Yeah.
And how not having him on the field kind of changed the way that they did it because a lot of what they did was Jalen Hurts he created with his legs. And to me, that is what kept them in the game, oddly enough. Like, although they could have and should have won, that's kind of really what kept them in the game. It was his legs that kept them in that game.
And it's his legs that got him that money. So make sure you use those legs. But hey, Parlay Pete, let's pivot a little bit. Obviously, hey guys, we're actually going to do the pregame show this week. I promise you.
Yeah.
But we've talked a little bit about the Saints, and I was going absolutely bonkers on Sunday about the Saints just beating the shit out of the Cowboys. And we know the Cowboys don't play well from behind. They kind of just tuck tail and run. Stephen A. Smith said today on First Take that he's most confident in the Saints. That's the team he believes in the NFC. Are you buying the new look Dennis Allen Saints under Clint Kubiak?
Not yet. Let me tell you, I went to the dressing room and I tried it on, and I liked it, but I'm not buying it yet. I think it looks good, certainly, but at that price point, I don't know yet. And so I don't think that what they're doing is sustainable. They're not going to sustain it. So I'm waiting to see what do they look like in a situation where the offense isn't scoring and the defense has to carry them. What does that look like? Are they in games? Or are they getting blown out? Like when the offense isn't getting these big plays, what does that look like for them? So I have to wait and see what that looks like, because to me, that's what defines a team. What does your team look like? Because they've been blowing teams out, I haven't seen them face any adversity yet this year. What does that look like? How does he coach? How does the coach in key moments when the game is close, how does he deal with this type of stuff? Can Derek Carr do what Kirk Cousins just did on the road? Like, can he do that in that situation? If they need 6, can they go down and get 6? I can't. To me, the Carolina win, of course, we see what that is. They played against a guy that's on the bench in week 3. And then they did play Dallas, but Dallas looked like the Dallas in the playoffs. That looked like the playoff Cowboys. So, yep. And I'm not trying to take away from the win, because it was impressive. The Cowboys still went undefeated in the regular season at home last year. That's a very good home team that they beat. But even on TV, I don't know if you could tell, it didn't fucking sound like a Cowboys home game to me. It sounded like there were a lot of Saints fans at that game. And we know that Dallas and New Orleans aren't too far from each other. No. Not to mention, just like how here, a lot of those refugees, they moved to Dallas. They stayed in Dallas. I mean, that is what happened.
Yeah, it's
the truth. They moved to Dallas and they moved to Atlanta. These are the places that these people live now.
And they never went back worse.
Home. Yep, and they never went back home. And I understand why they didn't go back home. But so until I get to see them in a space of adversity, or I tell you what, we get to see that first division game in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
let's see what they do when they come here.
Live and living color. Look, your mama, you're dead. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm afraid, because I think it may be real for a couple of reasons. They've obviously established a run game, and we're seeing that it's easier to run the ball in today's NFL because of the way that teams have prepared to stop the pass. I mean, players are smaller, less people are in the box, and Alvin Kamara has come back from the dead.
Yeah.
Derek Carr has come back from the dead. You know what? Alvin Kamara and Derek Carr get this week's DeMar Hamlin award.
What's that?
Dead man walking.
Oh, man.
It goes both ways, though, because, it's really you were something and then you bounce back, or you're what we thought Dennis Allen would be at this point in time. It's a two-way award.
I still think that Dennis Allen is. We'll see. Look, at the end of the day, we got 15 more games. So
here's what's going to happen.
Because I'm not trying to be funny, we can't count one of those games.
No, we can't. But here's what's going to happen. They're going to have a good record. Dennis Allen's going to get an extension. Clint Kubiak is going to get poached, and then he's going to turn back into Dennis Allen.
Yeah.
Also, the Bucs are 2-0. Are we buying them? Honestly, I should buy the Bucs more than I buy the Saints. But I'm looking at Carolina Baker, and I'm not accepting Tampa Baker, and I think that's the problem. because Baker, as Tampa's quarterback, has been a good quarterback. He's
Right.
been the quarterback who we saw long flashes of in Cleveland, the quarterback who got Cleveland to the playoffs and won a playoff game. I just haven't accepted it yet. And sometimes it's okay to be late to the party.
I'm impressed.
Not even go, you know.
I tell you what,
I'm
I'm buying them. You know, you asked me if I was buying New Orleans. I buy Tampa. I do think that Tampa's for real. Again, with them, it's a coaching thing too, though. I don't.
You don't buy Todd Bowles?
I don't subscribe to Bowles. I think that at the end of the day, this is still Bruce Arians' team in a weird way. Like, it's still the Bruce Arians Bucks. Obviously, there's no Brady, but Mayfield's doing better than what Brady did his last year there. So, in a weird way, it's still it is basically the same team. I mean, Rashad White has stepped up instead of Fournette, right? Like, that's kind of one of the differences.
Lenny?
Yeah, but I mean, Rashad White's not running the ball well either. So,
why do they call him Playoff Lenny? He went to the playoffs twice. Oh, 3 times, excuse me.
You know, we like to wear things out in sports, and that's one of them. Anything that sounds good, we run with it. You know, Kirk Chains, like Kirk, obviously he gets called Kirk Chains because of the one time he wears some chains.
I call him Burke Buzzins.
He's Captain Kirk to me. I could not, man. Still puts a smile on my face because it's just like I know that we can be really good now. I have so much faith.
Matt Ryan's getting jealous.
He looked like Matt Ryan. That's who he'd look like. Like, I've seen Matt Ryan do that before.
Matter of
fact, they literally brought it up the last time that we did that. Drive down the field to score a touchdown to win a game. It was actually a year that we had a losing season, but if you remember, we went to San Francisco and Julio caught a game-winning touchdown pass with like 1 second left.
Yes, I remember that game.
But it was the Kyle Shanahan revenge game. It was the first time we played Kyle Shanahan, and they were like 11-2. I think that they maybe could have wrapped up a first-round bye or something that week, and yeah, we spoiled it. Yeah.
I don't mind watch.
That was an untalented Falcons team.
Yeah, that's
or certainly an underachieving Falcons team. Let me not say untalented.
Yeah, because we had Julio and Ridley.
Yes, yeah. So
and then we drafted Pitts. Then we drafted Pitts, then Julio left and Ridley left. Yeah. Are we concerned about the Bengals being 0-2?
No, they obviously always get off to that slow start, and then on top of getting off to that slow start, their schedule eases up for them. So I'm not really like I remember looking at their next 5 games. Let me pull it up real quick while I'm talking. They've got a very manageable schedule. Of course, you know, you would have liked to have won those games. I think that obviously the Patriots loss is still going to burn because they're not a playoff team. But losing to the Chiefs by 1 on the road isn't a bad look. Let me tell you, this is kind of how I would have felt if we lost the Philly game. How I said if we looked better, I would still have hope in the team. That's how the Bengals should feel right now. Like, they absolutely shouldn't have lost their week 1 match, but you can come out of week 2 with a lot of positives. And this is their next 5 games. They play the Commanders at home on Monday night. That's a win. They go to Carolina. That's a win. Then they have a tough matchup with the Ravens, you know, but it's at home. It's a home game. They could win that game. Then they go to the Giants on Monday night or Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday night. That should be a win. And then they get the Browns on the road. They go to Cleveland. It's all out there in front of them still, I guess is what I'm saying. So I don't really feel like there's reason to panic in Cincinnati yet.
Okay, what about the other team in their division that's on too?
Yes, I think the panic button. Look, they got to go to Dallas this week.
Pissed off Dallas too.
Oh man, it is tough sledding that's about to be coming for the Ravens. They've got. Let me see. Their schedule, I had sent it to you too.
Yeah, because it's nasty.
Brother, they go to Dallas, then they get Buffalo at home, then they go to Cincinnati, then they get the Commanders, but then they got to go to Tampa, and then they got to go to Cleveland.
Cleveland?
Man, yeah, they got to go to Cleveland. And let me see. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got to at least come out of that 500 or the season's over.
Yeah, we'll see this week. I think this Dallas game will be very telling about who they are. You just can't give up a 10-point lead to the Raiders ever, but especially in the fourth quarter. That's just not okay. There needs to be a deeper conversation about John Harbaugh blowing games. I understand that he wins a lot. He's one of the better coaches in the league, but John Harbaugh has given up some fourth quarter ass.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about this too. Everybody talked about how field goal kicking is up and how there's already been 35, 50-plus yard field goals. It's 35 of 37, but guess who's got the 2 misses?
Tough.
The best kicker in the NFL.
I'm hip.
And let me tell you, but he's been missing kicks since last year. It's actually kind of been a problem with him.
Yeah, he was missing kicks last year.
And so, they're in a very, very tough situation. In a weird way, I can't put my finger on what it is that they're missing, but like even last year, they beat good teams by a lot. They were blowing out good teams, right? Like just like they did on Christmas against San Francisco. They blew out a lot. That's why Lamar won the MVP.
Yeah.
Like they were beating good teams and they were beating them convincingly. Dropping that game to the Raiders, you got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. Like you said, you can't blow that. Not to them.
Can you just feed Derrick Henry? Can we get off of this, hey, we're going to manage Derrick Henry? No, you take that horse to the Old Town Road and you ride until you can't no more.
Maybe that is something that they're kind of missing. Maybe they're missing the change of pace in a Keaton Mitchell, right? How good he was when he started running the ball for them last year. And he's a speedster. Maybe that's what they're missing. It seems like Zay Flowers true? I like Zay Flowers, but like, is he like a 1? Is he really a 1?
No.
Like he's a 1, but like, is he a 1 on a great team?
No.
So, like, he's one of the 32 best wide receivers in the league, so that makes him a 1. But, like, is he a 1 on a team like that? I don't think so. Mark Andrews he's on a milk carton. He's been worse than Kelsey. And so, it's weird. It's weird how that's going. But like you said, it's Harbaugh too, giving up ass.
Here's what Harbaugh needs to do. He and Todd Monken need to sit down together and talk about the 2022 and 2021 and 2022 Georgia seasons. Hey, Todd, this is what I want. Explosive shot plays to our receivers. A lot of running and a whole lot of tight end. The way you did Brock Bowers, likely. I should pause that, huh?
It was a whole lot of tight end.
Pause. But no, I want you to run that Georgia offense NFL style. And let's win in between the hashes like you did with Stetson Bennett. With just a little bit more quarterback run. But now you have to run Derrick Henry. He is not a change of pace back. He's a feature back, old school who needs the ball. So you got to feed him.
Yeah, you've got to feed him, and you've got to give him the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's got to get it a lot because he's the type of guy that does require the 25 carries. Because he gets going, he gets better as he gets more touches.
Exactly.
And Arthur Smith knew that. Like,
and he wears
that's
defense now.
Think about it. That's what got Arthur Smith the head coaching job because he was like, I'm going to feed my guy because I don't want Tannehill. The only thing that Tannehill should be getting from this is setting up play action.
Exactly. And I think that's what they should do in Baltimore.
And with the Zay Flowers, that is how you use him too. He's a speedster. Send him deep so that he can get it and just hope that he holds on to the ball and doesn't fumble at the goal line. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And here's the thing, though. If they get to that type of offense, it's going to open up their passing game much more in later weeks. Because just imagine if somebody's starting to put 8 in the box against Baltimore. Like, Lamar is not the most pinpoint accurate passer, but Lamar is really good from the pocket.
Yeah.
He's really good from the pocket.
And he's got an arm.
Another thing we got to get to just very quickly. I understand that Buddy was early in the Chiefs game, when you slow it down and let me see it. But there's no way in real time did that look early. And as a DB, I do have an issue, former DB. I have an issue with, can I make a play on the ball? If I bump you a little bit, can I make a play on the ball?
You know who you sound like? You sound like White Goodman in Dodgeball. When he messed up at the end, he's like, "How did that happen?" He's like, "That's bullcrap." He's like, "We're out here sweating like grease monkeys." And then the dude came up and read the rule, and then he's like, "Rule 30, and he's like, "Sudden death." The Bengals, man, they did it to themselves again, though. That's another game where you let Patrick Mahomes win off of a penalty. They lost to them in the playoffs like that.
The
Was it
playoffs
last? That wasn't last year.
totally
It was
terrible.
2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. Yeah, that egregious hit that put them in fucking field goal range. They gave them a chance. They gave Harrison Butker a chance to win the game. And it's just kind of like, I don't feel bad for them because they keep doing it to themselves. And I'm not going to, and another thing, Jamar Chase, getting it so heated, man, you cost your team 15 yards and it let the Bengals get a score on that drive that they did not have to get if you didn't just fucking keep your cool, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was no way. And I know that they said that they thought it was a hip, a drop hip tackle or whatever, but
I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear it. Not to where you doing all that and you getting a flag.
So I'm very curious with that, right? Because I was watching it. He said his piece to the referee. The referee responded. Then he got more upset. Now, as a player, this is kind of like me in that pass interference thing, right? The rule is the rule, right? And as a player, you have to defer to the official just because of the way the game works. Like, you just can't curse them out. But me being a human, I know officials will cross that line because they know you can't do anything about it. I'm curious what that official said to him that set him off like that, because he's definitely a diva receiver, as shown by him holding out for a contract 2 years early. Nuts. But we don't even see, I don't recall seeing many Jamar Chase like sideline explosions, nothing, you know, like not getting like that. What the hell did the referee say to him?
I don't know, but I mean, but you kind of just said it in yourself. That's why it made so much sense that if it was a hip drop tackle, that's why he was upset like that, because that's the whole reason why he wants his contract right now, because that play has obviously injured guys. And I mean, let's look at Tony Pollard. Does he really look the same? And that's what happened to him, how he broke his leg in that playoff game. He doesn't want to be injured, man, and that be him. Like, so I get it, but you didn't break your shit. So like, and I get it, you could have broke your shit, but you didn't. You got to let that shit go. Handle it after the game, better yet, with the player that did it to you. Get up in his face, get fined for it. Don't cost your team the game. In a sense, you know, it was still like the third quarter, but like, don't put your team in a position at where
they ended up having to kick a field goal where they could have milked more clock and possibly scored a touchdown because it would have been third and manageable, not third and yesterday.
Exactly. And so it just, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. He's not the type of player to do that. But this is how you knew it was even a problem. I mean, him and Joe Burrow were getting into it, right? And that's his boy. That's his boy.
And all of that tells me that ref introduction, that ref interaction wasn't just like a, hey man, my bad, I missed it. Calm down. You know what I mean? Like it.
You don't think he called him boy, do you?
The man just told him to shut the fuck up, quit crying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't think he called him boy?
I sure
hope.
You know,
that's one thing. That's one thing that'll set a nigga off.
Hell yeah, white man call you boy, a motherfucking boy.
He's like, hey, let me tell you, crazy enough, boy might be worse than being called a nigga.
Low key.
Because with a nigga, it's like, well, you're trying to like upset me by saying that. But if you call me boy, you're trying to sun me. I'm the man around this piece. Like, y'all work. He's like, y'all just live here. You know what I mean? Like,
You know what? I'll tell you something funny, personal story. When I first met my father-in-law, he was he'd be like, "What's up, boy?" And it's like super friendly. It took me months to get used to that. Cause like the first time he said it, telling the wife, I'm like, "Yo, your dad called me boy. He was cool and all, but I bit my tongue because it's your pops. I'm just getting to know him and all, but I don't fuck with that boy shit at all."
Yeah.
And then again, cultural differences. She's, explains to me he meant nothing by it. I'm like, yeah, I know that, but that ain't. It just it set with me. But somebody who just definitely got sunned, Bryce Young gets benched after 2 games. So I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna say a little bit. I'm gonna let you go because you were kind of on this Sunday afternoon. Dave Canales, Dave Tepper, Dan Morgan, whatever y'all are doing or think you're doing is wrong. Bryce Young has been terrible. Carolina is terrible. Everything about that franchise has been pretty much terrible. I mean, I asked a question a long time ago. Would you rather have a racist owner or an incompetent owner? We said we'd much rather have a racist owner than an incompetent owner because we don't know him and we want to see wins on Sunday. Jerry Richardson, racist. Won the division, once every 2 to 3 years?
Yeah. Competitive.
David Tepper, incompetent asshole.
He's pouring drinks on fans.
Yeah. He hired Dan Morgan to be his GM, but Dan Morgan was in the building when they made the trade for Bryce Young. Everybody in that personnel department gets fired. The scout, you get fired for putting such a high grade on him. GM, you get fired for orchestrating this trade. Cap person, you get fired for making the money and all this other shit work. Like, no, VP player personnel, all of y'all fired. But Dan Morgan gets to run the program. If you're going to bench your second-year quarterback, first overall pick after week 2, then he shouldn't have started week 1. You did not learn something in these 2 weeks so egregious or just so obvious that you go, you know what? Red Rifle. Bring it back, baby. No. Red Rifle looked better than him in camp.
He looked better than him last year.
Yeah. If you believe that's the man, start it.
Let me say this, and I'll keep it brief on him altogether.
Okay.
I told you after watching watching everything, I said he had 86 fucking yards passing. I was like, man, he might be the worst. I still think Daniel Jones might be the worst. Dan can at least run. Like Bryce Young doesn't run, which is kind of weird. And I get it. He's a really small guy. Yeah, he's really small. But Steve Smith tried to sun him. We talking about boy. He tried to sun him on first take. He was like, when he remembered meeting him, and he was like, he was bigger than him, and he had heard all these great things and stuff. But he said even that threw him off a little, being bigger. I don't know how big Steve Smith is. I guess he at North Carolina Central, he might have been like or A&T. He was like a shooting guard, maybe at 6'2" or something. I don't know. But we'd have to ask Titlock about that. But nonetheless, I think that Bryce Young, the results speak for themselves, man. They're not winning football games. He's not moving the ball. He's missing throws. And my thought is this. This was the weird part. You're benching him now, and then when they ask you about trading him, you're not open to it. I would be open to doing it because at this point, you shot that man's – look at that. You shot that man's confidence in reality. He probably already didn't have very much of it, but certainly him getting benched this early in the season's not even out of control. But shout outs to Dave Canales for recognizing that and saying, I got to win football games because he knows that he's on the chopping block. Maybe not after this year, but who knows? The last 2 guys haven't made it out of the first season. So he might fear that he might be next too, that he will get blamed. So he has to do what's going to win him football games before the season's over. They're not a playoff team, and they weren't going to be a playoff team, and they're still not going to be a playoff team. But at the same time, he made the decision that he thought was best for that football team. But this is not a Major League Baseball team where you can put a young pitcher in from AAA and then send him back down and say he's not done yet, like he's not done cooking. We need him to like mature. He needs to get better. He's not going to get any better sitting on the sideline watching Andy Dalton. You know what I mean?
What?
He's not going to get any better.
He might get better. To watch the game from that point of view. To have those conversations with Andy Dalton, hey, I'm seeing this. What are you seeing? Blah, blah, blah. It may actually sharpen his skills from that point of view, because I can't say that you should sit quarterbacks.
Not like this.
And then no, not like this, obviously, because of the confidence piece, right? I can't say you should sit quarterbacks and develop them before you put them out there if you can afford to do it, and then say that Bryce Young can't learn from being on the sideline. Now, the way you went about it, a report came out that he's pissed about it, as he should be. Because if the coach says you're starting, you're still a starter at the press conference, and then you find out, like kind of like everybody else, that you're getting benched. Well, for one, the owner benched you. That's who benched you. So don't be mad at your coach. He's just an employee like you are, and he makes less money than you. But it's unfortunate, but they're a terrible franchise. But you got to give Canales some credit, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to end up like the Jacksonville Jaguars and hitching your wagon 50 large to a first overall pick who is living off of high school and college stats and potential.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about number 16 for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I was about to say the Cartersville natives need to hear this.
I know I'm talking about Trevor Lawrence. Now, let me preface this by saying I'm rooting for Trevor Lawrence. I'm always rooting for Trevor Lawrence. Why? Because he's from my hometown. Got to watch him in high school. Got to watch him. Didn't go to Clemson to watch him, but watched him on TV. But anytime I was in town, when he was in high school, I went to watch him play. But he's not playing good NFL football. He's not.
He looks like a product of Dabo.
Huh?
He looks like a product of Dabo.
He does look like a product of Dabo. And we had the battle of the bad Dabo boys Sunday with the Cleveland Browns versus the Jaguars. And all I know is I hope they are cutting Dabo a check, because Dabo boy, he can he can sell, can't he? He's a salesman. But anyways, Trevor Lawrence, great prospect. Good guys from everything I hear. Hell, it doesn't matter about this. Rooting for him. But Cartersville, Georgia, if you're listening to this, just because you root for somebody does not mean you can't be honest about their performance. It doesn't mean you have to make an excuse about why they're not performing. Oh, it's the receivers. Oh, it's the coaching. Oh, it's the line. Or maybe he threw 3 picks in his first playoff game. I don't care that he won. I don't give a damn that he won. He threw 3 picks in the first half. And he got
Chargers
saved.
charged.
Yeah, it's the fucking Chargers. I can't even think of their old head coach's name. He's not important. Yeah, Staley, Don Staley.
You're giving him too much credit with that one.
Low key. I'm just saying Don Staley could probably coach that football team better than he can. But anyways, Trevor Lawrence, and I think I said this, or I kind of whispered at it. That's the actual worst contract in the NFL.
Ooh. No, Daniel Jones.
I forget about him.
He's forgettable. I mean, trust me, I understand. But
no, so
that's the worst contract in the NFL.
Yeah, Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence is a close second.
Deshaun Watson is pretty bad. I mean,
they got an out now. But they got outs on Deshaun. They have outs on Deshaun Watson though.
Let me tell you, they owe Dabo and Clemson some NIL money. They need to be funding the NIL program that he doesn't want to use. They need to be the funders of it, because they are a product of that. And I get it. They dropped a gazillion points on App State.
Who cares?
But at the end of the day, you're absolutely right.
They should set up a fund. And you know who they should let run it?
Who?
Vic Beasley.
Another guy that stole money, huh?
No, he was all pro.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure Deshaun Watson maybe was a second team All Pro one of these years.
Hey, but Vic didn't get a big second contract.
He got like 1 year, 12 or 13, 14 million
Yeah,
from the
no, he got
Titans, bro.
but he
And
didn't get
it was
like the
almost fully guaranteed. I'm pretty sure at least half of it was guaranteed.
Hey, get these Georgia boys, these North Georgia boys, Deshaun, Vic, Trevor Lawrence. Y'all set up the Clemson NIL fund. We figured it out.
Yeah. Thank us later.
All right. Is there anything else important in the NFL that we need to talk about as far as last week?
I feel like we hit a lot of it. We didn't really talk about Tua, but obviously with him, I mean, I hope everything ends up okay. But go ahead and hang it up, man, if you can, and get those millions. Just get the money, because this is what it's really about. It is about the money. Yeah, he wants to play, and he's a gamer. I get all that, but it's about the money, man. Just take your money and go home.
I just don't have much to say about Tua. I do think it was ironic that the tackle was made by DeMar Hamlin. I guess he wanted his lick back.
Well, you know what they called it, right? They say that it's the ambulance. Because you know how they had the ambulance and it had the threes on the back.
Yeah,
that season, the ambulance. He sent him to the ambulance.
But no, Tua, do what you think is best for you, man. It's your life.
Take the money and take the fucking
grown
money.
Man. I'm not gonna give you advice on it because you've dedicated your whole life to doing this. I would give my son advice, but I don't have that relationship with you. So, man, do what makes you happy. Let's hit 2 quick college football topics. Maybe 2.5 because we got about 30 minutes left. We'll hit the picks and then we'll close out with the diddler. Actually, pause. I ain't closing out nothing with the diddler. Shedeur Sanders made headlines again this week for not shaking the quarterback from Colorado State's hand, the same quarterback who ran out of bounds short of a first down and did too small to Travis Hunter. I don't really feel any way about this. I don't. I have no feelings on it. I wouldn't have shaken his hand either. You talking about maybe they get some more Instagram followers or whoop some crazy bullshit like that. I've been like, bro, I don't fuck with you either, buddy. Or nigga. Actually, he called him a nigga too, which I love when black people call white people nigga. It's hilarious to me.
Well, because they don't really have much of a response for that.
No, but it's getting blown out of proportion. And I've came on here and talked about some of Shedeur's antics getting blown out of proportion. But as I sit back and reflect, and I listened to Joel Klatt talk about it a little bit today on the herd, he was like, a lot of the noise surrounding Colorado is actually outside noise. It is the media, pretty much saying that it's the media capitalizing off of the social currency that Colorado has. So it appears to us that it is way more going on there than it actually is. Kind of like what JD Vance was doing, hey, I'm going to make up stories to get your attention.
Yeah.
It's the media doing the same thing, making up stories to get people's attention because that's how they get their ad revenue.
Yeah.
Because really, Parlay Pete, before I let you go, pause. How often on a week-to-week basis do you think one given player does not shake another player's hand and says some shit to him after a game?
How often does a player not want, how often does a player do what Shedeur did?
Something to that nature. Don't shake their hand and say their piece to him.
Probably never.
Oh, I think it happens every fucking week.
Not like that.
Not like that because there's not that camera on that player because that player is not marketable and they have fake NIL. Shedeur actually moves units.
I don't doubt that there's players that won't shake hands, but I don't know if somebody basically says keep that same energy, fuck you type shit. I don't know if that is what happens.
I had it happen to me in high school, dog.
Where somebody said basically fuck you.
Dog said we went through shaking hands. He didn't shake my hand. And then when we were peeling back out and we had to we walked back to our locker room or whatever, right? And we had to go through them. And he was like, bitch ass nigga, if I ever see you in so and so city, it's on site.
I would have told that nigga, he's like, well, I'm right here right now. Let's get it on.
No, I'm not going to say that. I won the game and we won. I decleated him and I had the game sealing pick. So why am I talking to you?
I would have said, come on. That's what I would.
I was player of the week that week, man. I don't give a. I'm not about to fight you after no game, stupid ass
that's
nigga.
just it. He wasn't gonna fight, but that's the point. That's why you do it. You kind of mock the situation in a sense of being like, come on, you know that they're not gonna do anything.
I don't know that. I don't know him. He was from Hiram. Maybe they give it up out there.
You knew that nigga wasn't gonna do nothing.
You're right, but no. So I think it's more of a common occurrence, man. Like shit happens. Some people take shit talk personally. Some people just can't leave it on the field. And honestly, this situation it didn't start on the field. The vitriol happened in the media. So yeah, if you're gonna talk crazy about me and I'm better than you, no, I'm not shaking your hand. This ain't 8 and under. I ain't gotta be a good sport. Play by the rules and play the game. Yo, sportsmanship is some bullshit Western culture shit that they want to like used to determine if somebody is good or bad. Like, how crazy is it that a man can't dance on a TV show after scoring a touchdown? Like, that used to be a penalty. Like, for what? Everybody liked it. Oh, we got to shake hands after the game. Bro, after the game over, you're going to dap up the people you fuck with. Hey, 825, yeah, he was out there killing it. Hey, yeah, good shit, dog. Yeah. Boy, number 9, boy, you a dirty motherfucker, boy, but I like you. You funny as hell. Like, people that, man, like, that's sportsmanship is some bullshit. And Shador does a lot of extra shit, but that sportsmanship shit, that's bullshit.
Well, it's because what it is it's a game, and that's what we take that away from it because it gets so competitive. It is just a game, but here's why Shador had his problem, obviously, because what was being said to him didn't have anything to do with the game.
Yeah.
So that's why, of course, he's going to feel that way after a game because what was being said about him had nothing to do with the game. You talking about me in a certain type of way, and it's just like, nigga, you can't basically. No, I'm dishing it back to you, and you can't take it, like type shit. And so for him, it's kind of like that because, like, look, even for a guy like Shador, he left that Nebraska game early and didn't shake hands the week before that. And you know what Nebraska did? They played his music in the locker room afterwards. Oh, they were doing
So they gave him money and publicity.
Yeah. That was the joke. The joke of it was that it was like, man, he winning even when he losing. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, they played like one of his songs, and everybody was doing the Shador, I guess is what we call it these days.
His team literally can take those videos that went up, show the clicks and the views, and now take that to a company to get another bag. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you worried about our Georgia Bulldogs?
No. This is the third time in 4 years that's happened. I'm not worried. I wish that Carson Beck showed me more. I felt like he didn't do. Yeah, but I felt like he didn't do enough in terms of for his pro prospect ability.
Yeah. Aaron Murray would have played better.
Yeah, so I just feel like he didn't do enough. But I mean, look, Kentucky always gives Georgia a pretty good game, especially on the road.
RIP to the hefty lefty.
Yeah, Big Jerry Lorenzen.
He used to run that power option.
Man, I remember DeAndre Woodson when he had that thing cooking at Kentucky. But anyways,
shout out to Big Blue Nation, man. I met some great people from Big Blue Nation. I rock with y'all.
Yeah. But no, I don't think that it's a reason for concern. Let me tell you, they actually needed to get this ugly game out of the way because they've got their Achilles heel coming up. Their kryptonite is coming up. So that's the game that you need to play well in,
We got to go 3-1 down this stretch.
And I think that they're better than Alabama. Like they should probably be favored by 4 points on the road even. Like they should be favored in that game. and they should win that game. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what type of Alabama team you're playing. It's still Alabama. I know there's no saving, but and that's a big part of it for Kirby.
It's still Brian Denny.
It's still, and it's you're right. And the game is still on the road, and so, yeah, I'm glad that they got that game out of the way because the expectation is that Kirby had those boys running stairs at 4 a.m. for that bullshit that they brought out at Kroger Field.
Yeah, I like the resilience of the team, and I listen to Kirby's post game. Kirby just gets you fired up, man.
He's the best thing to ever happen to the state of Georgia.
Better than Brian Kemp.
Brian Kemp's a hell of a fucking governor. I like Brian Kemp, but I like Brian Kemp. He's like the perfect conservative. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
because he's not a Trump conservative.
He's not a MAGA guy. Yeah, exactly.
No, he's a real deal conservative, and
he's somebody that you could get to the table and it would be on some bipartisan shit.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
But he still stands his ground on his morals. But he's able to at least come to the table and talk about it and make concessions if need be.
We're not Florida.
Oh, Rubio?
No, DeSantis.
Oh, yeah. I'm tripping, yeah.
Rubio's like senator or congressman. But all right. Speaking of Florida, we're not Florida or Florida State.
God, I'm so glad we're not. Oh my God. I don't think that Georgia's ever had a period like this in their history. I know they had that one down year, like Kirby's first year. They didn't go 6-7.
We weren't good.
They did that in like Mark Rick's last year, or one of his last 2 years.
Kirby's first year was man, and then the COVID year was a disappointment for us.
Yeah,
but whatever.
But they have never been as low as what we're seeing out of Florida and Florida State. I can't recall at least. They're
0-3, 1-2.
Well, and getting blown out at home twice if you're Florida,
and getting beat by Memphis if you're Florida State,
and Boston College.
Here's the thing. You want to know where I think Florida State's coach is losing his job, where Norvell's losing his job?
Trotting out, not doing what Dave Canales did this week.
Yeah. And then putting confidence in the DJU and the media.
Yeah.
Look here, Norvell. If you want DJU to like you, you better offer him a job as an offensive assistant and not a graduate assistant. Like, no, put him on the actual staff. Don't make him have to fake enroll in school so he can help with football next year. No. Bring him on, make him the assistant quarterbacks coach or something. Ooh, I don't know about that, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want him doing that. I mean,
maybe we put him as a DC. I mean, on the defensive side.
Just do what these programs always do. Pay him to go away. I mean, my goodness, he already got the money. The deposit's already hit. Just tell him to leave.
Maybe make him a brand ambassador.
Let's see what you have behind him, because that's going to be either. You need to figure out if he's going to be your guy next year. If you're there next year.
Because Prime might bring his Louis luggage. If Colorado, I don't think Colorado's good, but if they win 6 or 7 games,
they're going to offer him the job.
Yeah. Norvell, you're out of there. Billy Napier, I hope you've already hired the moving company.
Yeah. He's for sure getting out of there. Because,
the boosters met and they got the money.
Yeah, and beating Sanford's just not impressive these days. And I know that they struggled to beat them, I think, last year. Or no, it was Dan Mullen's last win. They celebrated after beating them by a touchdown.
I remember.
Yeah, it's crazy. But matter of fact, we get the Dan Mullen Bowl this weekend. It's Florida and Mississippi State.
You think they should have kept Mullen maybe?
Nah. His time had passed too. They just should have hired better than Napier. And look, they got a guy that they can call too. Somebody that's real familiar with the police force down there. He can bring it all. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure he still has a house down there.
I'm sure he has if he's got a bar in Columbus, he's got a bar in Gainesville.
Pervs.
Yeah.
All right, man. That kind of wraps up college football And that actually takes us into, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Parlay Peaks NFL. Oh, wow, I messed that up. Parlay Peaks College Football 6. 6.
All right, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet with this. I think we went 500 on college last week. But look, we're aiming for that 6-0 week. So I feel like I've got a 6-0 play here. All right, we're going to start off. We got East Carolina at Liberty. I'm telling you, Liberty, I don't think he actually ended up covering that spread. They got really close. It was a bigger spread. This week they're at home. They got East Carolina. So East Carolina at Liberty. Give me Liberty -6 at home. I really like that spread. They should blow doors on East Carolina. I'm surprised it's honestly that way. I think it's because Liberty's kind of underachieved. Next, we got Georgia Tech at Louisville. Give me Georgia Tech plus 10.5. I'm not, teams like Louisville, I don't really buy into them unless they have Lamar Jackson. So give me Georgia Tech plus 10.5. I really like what Brent Key's cooking there, and I think 10.5 is a good number. So give me Georgia Tech plus 10.5 at Louisville. Next, we got Iowa at Minnesota. This game has underwritten all over it. I know that last week the Iowa game did go over, and that, it's not your grandfather's Iowa, but it is your great-grandfather's Iowa still. So I like under 35 in the Iowa at Minnesota game. There's just, man, look, these are teams that don't score points. They're offensively challenged. Give me under 35. Next, we got Buffalo at Northern Illinois. At this point, after seeing what they did to Notre Dame, and they're ranked and they get to come home for that first game, the adrenaline should be pumping, and Buffalo is not a good team. Give me Northern Iowa -13.5. I expect them. Maybe they're being overvalued, but I kind of like that spread anyway.
Hey, Northern Iowa?
Yeah, Northern Iowa. I'm sorry, Northern Illinois. I said Iowa. Yeah, Northern Illinois is -13.5. Buffalo's not a good team. I like Northern. Give me Northern Illinois. I keep saying Iowa.
Bring back Lil Mac.
Yes. Next, we got Illinois at Nebraska. I think that game is actually tomorrow. Or
Friday.
It's Friday. Yeah. Okay. Illinois at Nebraska. We got two ranked teams. Illinois shockingly beat Kansas the other day. And I think Nebraska's getting a little too much hype. I like their crowd, but give me Illinois plus 10. I think that's just a lot of points to be given a team that's coached by Brent Bielema, who's a Big Ten lifer at this point. He's the last person to actually have Wisconsin cooking, because Fickle certainly doesn't have that going on there. So, yeah, give me Illinois.
You like Baby Mahomes at Nebraska?
He hasn't really shown anything that makes me think he's Patrick Mahomes outside of the way he looks in the jersey that he wears and the way that he warms up. In terms of his own game, he's made some throws like him, but he doesn't look like Patrick Mahomes. I think that he still has a lot of development to go. And I'm glad that he left. I'm glad that he didn't end up staying at Georgia now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, give me Illinois plus 10. And then finally, we got Utah at Oklahoma State. So Utah's quarterback since Cam Rising went down is Wilson's brother.
40.
Who?
Never mind. No.
He likes 40-year-old women.
I was getting my games mixed up. I was thinking it was that game with the quarterback who was like the quarterback matchup was like super old, but it's not.
Yeah, he's Wilson's brother, who obviously who went to BYU.
Mm-hmm.
But they're at Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma State's a home dog. So I like Oklahoma State on the money line here.
All righty, so we
coming in town. I like this. Yeah.
So we got Liberty -6, Tech plus 10.5, Iowa at Minnesota under 35, NIU -13.5, Illinois plus 10, Oklahoma State on the money line.
Yep.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Parlay Peaks NFL 6.
6. All right, so I'm gonna wait for this last one because I'm trying to decide if I want to do it or not. So I have 7 over here, but we'll go ahead and get this thing started. We got the San Francisco 49ers at the LA Rams. No wide receivers on that Rams offense, and although we know that this is going to be a lot of scheming going on, there's no Deebo Samuels. I think 44.5 is just too high of a number. Give me the under on the 49ers at the Rams. I like the under here a lot. Like I said, there's no Cooper Kupp. There's no Puka Nacua. There's no Deebo Samuels. There's no Christian McCaffrey. Where did the points come in? I know that these are offensive masterminds, but they know each other pretty well too. I expect, something over 44.5. That'd be a shocking. Okay. Next, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Raiders. I don't think that the Panthers get their first win just because they changed their quarterback. They're still a bad football team. Give me the Raiders on the money line. Next, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Tennessee Titans. We call this the what's his fucking name? The quarterback for the
Malik
Packers
Willis
now.
revenge game.
Yep, this is the Malik Willis revenge game, and look, he did everything he needed to do, honestly, for them to beat the Colts. That was a shocker. They ran the ball 50 fucking times. And that is why I'm going to take the under in this game. I like under 38. I don't really see a lot of points getting scored. Plus, that's just going to be the Packers' game plan moving forward. Run the piss out of the football. Under 38. Next, we got the Houston Texans at the Minnesota Vikings. Good story by Minnesota so far, but I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I think the Houston Texans are going to prove that they are exactly who we think they are, and that's a legitimate Super Bowl contender already. Give me the Houston Texans minus 2.5. I really like them on the road here, and that's kind of a low number for a team that's that good. Next, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Buffalo Bills. Give me the Buffalo Bills on the money line on Monday night. There's no reason to don't mess with something that doesn't need to be messed with. We'll go with the Bills. They're the better team, and they're at home, and it's a Monday night. I expect plenty of people to be jumped through tables. And then finally, I was thinking long and hard about this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay away from it. Although everybody knows exactly how I think, what I think is going to happen. So I'm going to stay away from it because I stayed away from it last week, even though I really liked this last week too. I'm going to stay away from it. And instead, I'm actually going to go with the team that we beat. I got the Philadelphia Eagles on the money line at the Saints. I think that they're going to beat the Saints. I think the Saints come back down to earth, and I think that the Eagles get a bounce back game in New Orleans.
All right, so we got 49ers at Rams, under 44.5. Raiders on the money line. Packers and Titans under 38. Texans minus 2.5. Bills money line. Eagles money line.
Yeah.
If you like it, then I love it.
Which means it's time for
Lee's three. One day we're going to figure this out. Hey, Lee's 3 brought to you by nobody but Lee and Parlay Pete, because I take it from him. Pause. On the college side of the house, I really don't like anything on this slate, so I'm not touching it.
Really?
Yeah, it's too much of the football that I haven't been watching. You know, my Saturdays have not been my normal lock in and watch football Saturdays. Because
that's true. Yeah, family time.
Yeah. A couple weeks, though, we bike. Anyways, so from the NFL slate, let me go ahead and give you that Raiders on the money line. I do think they're going to come out a tad bit cocky because they got to win, but I actually think that plays into who they are. High confidence, more talent. I like them. Texans minus 2.5, signed, sealed, delivered, baby, I'm yours. I think C.J. Stroud goes in and he wins by a lot because the Texans may be, before it's all said and done, the best team in the AFC. I'm not even bullshitting you. The Chiefs, we're going to hold them at number 1 because they're the champs, but I've not been impressed through 2 weeks by the Chiefs, and now they're also dealing with some injuries. And lastly, just go ahead and just put it on the table. Packers Titans under 38. There's just no way in my brain I can rationalize Malik Willis and Dukes Mayo scoring points.
Me neither. I don't see it, and I think that that's a generous number that they're even throwing out there. I mean, think about it. 21-17 is a push in that situation.
Yeah, I just don't see that. I don't see that.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are your bets. Those clips will be out here on socials in about a day or two. So make sure you call up your bookie, and if you win, send us hit the Cash App or donate to the show on Buzzsprout. Hey, Parlay Pete, let's get to our last topic. I wanted to make sure we got through all the important sports stuff. We didn't cover politics last week like we probably should have. Real quick here, can people stop trying to kill Donald Trump? That's not cool.
Yeah, it's
not even because I support him, because I'm not telling y'all who I support. It's just not cool. We're supposed to be above that as America. We're supposed to be the role models to the world. Well, trying to kill potential leaders is not. It's not that.
And former presidents. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nasty work. Anyways, speaking of nasty work, Sean P. Diddy Combs was taken into custody by the feds in New York.
That's one of your best segues, by the way. That's perfect.
It was totally off the dome, too. I'm not pausing that one either because we're talking about Diddy. So, the records have been unsealed on Diddy. We got to see the indictment. We got to see his bail request, which was denied. But Diddy's in federal detention. He's locked up, awaiting trial, no bail. How many years do you think he's getting? Because I ain't gonna say, do you think he gets off? Nigga, no.
So I'll put it this way: I think that he will be able to get out of jail and be able to still live his life. I don't think he's going to get hit with that many years, to be honest with you. And whether that be because, look, everybody's already said that he's kind of fed anyways. So whether whatever he's done in the past has helped him, I don't foresee him getting 30 years like R. Kelly. I don't. I really don't. Like R. Kelly is going to probably die in prison.
Happy
I think R. Kelly's
people.
going to die. Yeah, like I don't think R. Kelly will ever put on a concert again outside of jail. I think that Diddy will be able to leave eventually and be able to go off into kind of like how Bill Cosby went to jail. Like people forget Bill Cosby's not in jail anymore. Like,
yeah, no, he's free. We just don't see him.
Exactly, because he's been shunned from society. He's been blackballed from society. And I think the same thing will happen kind of with Diddy. So I don't know how many years he'll get, but what Diddy's probably 55, something like that. I bet that Diddy sees the day of light again.
Without cooperating, his mandatory minimum is 15 years.
And is that fed? That's fed,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
15 years, he has to serve 85%. So like
he'll be 67.
Like 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 13, something like that.
He'll see the day of light.
Yeah, so before we start making jokes, do you think this taints his legacy not amongst us, the fans, but amongst his peers, his compadres, his comrades? Or do you think this was kind of like Bill Cosby? Allegedly, everybody knew it, and they just were quiet until somebody else aired it out, and then they wanted to just throw rocks.
I lean more towards it being more like Cosby. And the reason I say that it won't taint him within the industry is because everybody worked with him. And I feel like when it comes to these freak offs and everybody that's been to these parties, whether they were a part of the after party or not, everybody had an idea of what he liked to do and how he got down. That's why even Cat Williams at the time of the year can say what he says. He says, sometimes you got to tell Diddy, you got to tell that man no. This is not a secret. This is what I'm saying. Amongst them, this probably is not a fucking secret. So it's just like, damn, they finally got his ass. It's really what it is, I would have to imagine, amongst them. And so I think that Diddy, his legacy for me will always still be take that. It has a whole new meaning, but like, I will still always think about it's all about the Benjamins and Shake Your Tail Feather. Like I think of all the hits that he's been Bad Boy. Like I still it's gonna be hard because he is such an important figure in culture. Honestly, he really is. Like when you really think about it, Diddy is actually like super important in culture. Like he's very.
Let me tell you something, Parlay Pete.
Yeah.
Nothing changes for me because I don't know him.
That too.
He didn't sell me a fault of some fake jewelry. I like Diddy because he made good music and he went from music to mogul to this and that. Like he diversified his portfolio.
Yeah.
And that's really all I know of him. I don't know the person. I don't know that he goes wild on people. I expect it because he's like a musical genius and a billionaire. So I don't expect those people to be totally like hinged.
Yeah.
I think it comes with that territory, which is why I have no desire of becoming a billionaire at all. Like whatever it takes to get that, pause. I don't want it, But he's a piece of shit, allegedly. He's a sexual deviant, allegedly. 1,000 bottles of lube, reportedly.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. You got to be having butt play with that much lube. There's no way like a asshole's not getting talked to without all that lube.
You know, it's funny when you text me earlier. You were like, "He's like, it sounds like there was a lot of butt play." I said, "A lot." I said, "Nigga, that's all that it is. It's just nothing but butt play. Like, there's nothing else that goes into that."
Because don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with having like vaginal sex with like a bunch of lube. Okay, hear me out, right? Before y'all start saying, "Oh no, she's dry." No. You're not just lubing up her, like just her private parts. I did all this curse and say private parts. You're lubing up the whole body. You know what I mean? You need a mattress cover. You got to have some sheets you about to throw away or wash. And you should use like the flavored stuff. You can't do this often, okay? Because you don't want to throw off her pH balance with all that stuff in there, right? But you just like lube it up real good, and both of y'all's bodies are like on that oily tip, right, Pauls? And it's just a different feel. So just try it out. But it's like a once in a special occasions type deal. Like, don't do that regularly because then you turn into Diddy. Lubed up shawty, Pauls.
Well, anyways, all right, Shay.
Nah, never. But nah, the thing is, man, like,
can we clip that? You think if we could clip that and put "That's Mama Shit," like drop that as like a sound bar on here?
Yeah,
like if somebody's getting killed, like or like it's like a blowout, obviously, like in a sports game, and you just put "That's Mama Shit."
You know what? Yeah, I'll go find that and I'll clip it up.
And we got to clip up Diddy saying, "Take that."
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. But no, 1,000 bottles of lube and baby oil is insane. Like that's insane. Like honestly, we talked about this kind of in pre-production. Where does he keep all of it? It's my question. Like when they came in and they confiscated it, where the fuck was all that shit sitting? Was it in the pantry? Nigga. Like, yeah, this is what I'm saying. But where did he have all this? And did he,
in the dungeon? No walls. No windows. One door, soundproof. They're puffing the oxygen in there. You know what I mean? You got Molly's and X pills being served to you. All the powder you want. You know what I mean? All the Ciroc you want. All the De Leon you want. You know what I mean? All day, all night. And then they don't even know what time it is. And then when you walk out, hey, hit it real quick, get your IV in there, boom, you're back to life, baby.
When they ordered it, it's like, did they get it from Costco or Amazon? Like, how did this get ordered? I'm just curious. Who did they send to the store to get it? Like, or did he just accumulate this over time? Like, he would buy 100 at a time, and then it got to 1,000. Like, and how quickly did he run through these? Because if you've got 1,000, you don't have it so that you don't necessarily just have to go to the store. It means you're using it a lot. Yeah. So how often do they have to go back to buy more? Like,
bro, did you see Boosie's post?
I did. I'm not reading all that. He likes to do these long, drawn out.
Yeah. So here's what I don't like. I don't like Black people now trying to make this a race thing. Because maybe they're coming after him because he's a Black billionaire. Or maybe because he upset the apple cart with his relationship with the liquor companies. I don't know. Or maybe he beat the shit out of Cassie on camera. Or maybe he was flying sex workers in all over the country and probably the world to come see him. Which, understand, people go, well, they were consenting. It does not matter. If you transport sex workers for the purpose of sex, you are a human trafficker. Just like if an immigrant, like a legal citizen helps an illegal immigrant cross the border, you are human trafficking. All human trafficking ain't fucking taking kids and women
or forcing people to do something that they don't want to do.
Forcing people to move. No, there are different forms of human trafficking. Pretty much, if you are moving human beings illegally, it is human trafficking. If you're moving human beings to do something with an illegal act, that is human trafficking, okay? I'm not going to read the textbook definition, but like, yes, him flying in a sex worker from him hitting up a sex worker from New Jersey to New York and paying for her Uber, that is sex trafficking, dog. So it's against the law. Just like I had a problem with that PI, y'all can have a problem with somebody hiring sex workers who want to come do sex work. That's fine. But it is in the rule book, according to Space Jam. But no, black people, stop trying to say, oh, they after our black billionaires, our black aristocracy. Or maybe he's a criminal. It's just like the Italians saying, America doesn't like Italians. They have it in for Italians. We just joined the mafia just to get some money. But y'all are criminals. So the police are coming after you. Yes, you're not a victim. You're not a victim of being what's the word I'm looking for? Stereotyped or profiled. If you're a criminal and they catch you. Now, me and Parlay Pete, they get profiled, and we're not criminals. That's racial profiling.
Right.
But if you're a criminal and they catch you committing crimes, no, that's good cop work. They profiled you correctly. They said this, and this gives us the idea that this person is doing X, Y, and Z. Oh, wow, you're doing X, Y, and Z? That's what the fuck we pay taxes for. We want to catch some crimes before they're committed. We want to catch the serial killer before he becomes a serial killer. You know what I mean? We want to catch the serial rapist, preferably before he or she becomes a rapist, but definitely before that person becomes a serial rapist. If somebody's running a nasty sex ring with thousands of bottles of lube and butt plugs, there has to be some butt plugs there. Had to be. They just didn't report that.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't feel like they didn't say everything that they found.
And you got,
they did say that
ARs with scratched off motherfucking serial numbers. Oh, bro, you commit crimes with your guns.
Here, and I'm gonna close my piece out with this because my iPad's on 1%, but then I have to get out of here.
Okay.
Ultimately, look, if Diddy did something wrong, he needs to be held accountable just like everybody else would. There's nothing different about him, even if he made hits. He is still not above the law. None of us are, and he needs to be treated as such. I think that it's really weird that he had 1,000 bottles of anything. Nigga, if you had 1,000 bottles of liquor, I'm going to look at you kind of crazy. Because I'm going to be like, what are you, bootlegging? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, nigga, why do you have 1,000 of, if it's anything but dollars, why do you have 1,000 of them? It's gluttony. You know what I mean? That's, and look, that maybe is what got him into, for him, it's gluttony. But that's my piece on it. I don't know if you want to keep going once I get on. I just
I'm done. I'm done
while I'm talking. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Parlay Pete. I'll holler at you later this week, dog. I'll see you soon.
All right, AC Lee. Yes.
All right.
Take care, brother.
No problem. Make sure y'all tune in here for the live pregame show. We'll be back. AC Lee and Parlay Pete show